Hello, welcome to the Pursuit of Excellence with me, Anthony Beirudi. Need your help real quick. If you like the videos, hit the thumbs up button right below, and please subscribe to get access to our latest interviews. Hit the subscribe button right there. Also, we'd love to hear from you about our interviews. In the comment section, tell us who you want us to interview or what you thought about the whole thing. Without further ado, enjoy the interview. All right. We're very excited today. We're being joined by Taylor Claggett. Thank you very much for joining us, Taylor.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, obviously, you just graduated from university, but we're going to go back to when it all started. You obviously come from a basketball family. When did basketball kind of get started in your life?
I actually started later than most people. I played like every other sport growing up, and it wasn't until like grade 9 that I got actually really serious with basketball. And then like grade 11 is when I narrowed it down just to basketball. So yeah, everything kind of just led up to it, and I just ended up picking my favorite sport by the end, and basketball is what I went with.
So what did you do before that?
Well, I played soccer, volleyball, track and field, cross country, swimming, and water polo. And water polo was the big one. I was gonna like pursue that, and people would have said that I had maybe more of a future with that. I played on the national team and program with water polo, and yeah, had like Division I stuff across the border. But yeah, I just like basketball more. Basketball is what I went with.
Yeah, I think it's important that you just find something you genuinely enjoy putting the time in, and obviously it's worked out for you, so it's not that bad. So you went in grade 9. What school did you go to, and kind of who was your first coach?
Yeah, I was at MEI from kindergarten all the way till grade 12. I played provincial team stuff most summers, and then it wasn't until my last summer of basketball, like U17, I went over to junior Cascades, because I committed there pretty early, committed grade 11, so then I went and played for Al that summer. My coach at MEI was Miss Sam Hawks, and then Rick Thiessen at the senior level. We had a pretty decent team at MEI, like made provincials every year, like top 10 finishes every year. So, but it wasn't like not a big basketball school. It wasn't like super intense practices, anything like that. It was mostly the summer ball where like I was all in, and that was the hard training. But yeah.
Yeah, so you got going at MEI. You obviously had a couple kids on your team that were pretty somewhat committed as well. Your teams were actually decent. You had some pretty good accomplishments. What was it like kind of deciding, basketball is kind of the one for me and I want to focus on this one?
It kind of got to a point like when water polo and basketball started conflicting. So it was like the realization like you can't play both forever. And I would say honestly it was like I knew that the future I had for water polo could have been like some people would look at it and be like it was bigger or whatever. It just came down to the fun of it, and I looked forward to going to basketball practices and wanted to go early and shoot. When it came to water polo, it was more like a job. It just wasn't fun. Like I had to go swim, I had to go to practice. It was just what I loved more, and that's how I made my final decision.
Fantastic. So you mentioned that you had chosen UFV and you'd done it rather early. What was the driving force to get you to go there, and how come you decided so quickly?
I'm a homebody, so I knew I wanted to stay at home and be around friends and family, and so that was the main thing, like just wanting to stay at home. And then I had known Al and like other players from UFV, from junior Cascades and different camps and stuff like that. So I loved Al as a coach. I knew what he was enforcing. Like he cared about people, not just as players, like he cares about you as a person, and he enforced lots of like community work, and the classroom was a big deal for him. It wasn't just basketball. So I knew going there I was going to be like fully rounded person. And then I was also going with 2 of my best friends. We committed at the same time, Kate Head and Amanda Thompson. We've played together since grade 8. So we all kind of decided around the same time that we were going to go there together. So it worked out.
That was good. That was a big recruiting class. I remember that. I mean, that was the 3 of you guys were very good coming out of high school for sure. Al's obviously been great in the community. He's done a lot of stuff there. I think it's a natural fit for a lot of people that go to school in the Valley, and slowly as they continue to get better, outside the area for sure. So you ended up going to UFV. What did you decide to study?
I actually started in criminology, and my whole plan was to go to law school after. And then after my first year, I kind of realized I don't want to stay in school that long after when I'm done. So, and then I got into coaching. So I realized I really liked working with kids and kind of kept coaching. Like I'm still coaching now. And yeah, I've just kind of realized I wanted to teach. I like the grade 3, 4, 5 age group. So I ended up getting my Bachelor of Arts degree with my English major, and then I'm going to go back in a couple years and finish my elementary teaching program, and then, yeah, eventually become a teacher.
Do your PDP. I mean, obviously that's a great way to teach. You know, I think a lot of people that I've interviewed that are coaches, they actually decided to become teachers so that they would have more time to coach, ironically, and it can kind of all come together. So that's a natural fit for sure. So you start off your university career. Your team's been good the whole time. You guys have kind of been in during your 5-year period. Talk a little bit about being a freshman and kind of the challenges that you saw as a freshman, because you did get some minutes, but obviously, freshman is freshman.
Yeah. Well, coming in, I was obviously really nervous. Had some scary veterans on the team, but they definitely pushed me every day to become a better player. And then an opening spot became available in my rookie year. One of the forwards got injured, so I just worked every day. I was like, I want that spot. So I worked my way in, and I was a starter as a rookie. I started every game that year. And then, obviously it's a big change from high school to university, just the time that you're putting in. It's you're shooting, you're at practice, you're lifting weights, you're doing a skills workout, you're in study hall. And then, yeah, so it's grueling. And definitely it was difficult going from MEI to UFV, a little private school and kind of sheltered, and then you're getting thrown into kind of the bigger pond, you'd say. And yeah, definitely a culture shock for a bit, but got used to it and had a great team, made some great friends right away in my first year, and it was kind of just uphill from there.
Yeah, for sure. Usually a lot of people as freshmen, they don't get too many opportunities to make such a big impact. You obviously got a rather big one. What do you think was the most complicated thing you had to get used to once you got to the next level?
Well, right away in my rookie year, it was learning how to play out of an offense and finding where you're going to be able to score, using your brain more to play. In high school, it was kind of every time I got the ball, you can go and score however you want. It's there wasn't really an offense to follow. It was you get the ball, you're going to go and do your thing. So you had to figure out where you were going to score out of an offense. And so that was definitely different. It was also just trying to figure out ways how my game from high school would relay over to the university level, because I know a lot of coaches didn't think that it would. And yeah, it was just playing my game and making it work, and not playing my game until it didn't work anymore, and then adding more weapons to it after that.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. I think, when you get there, you usually got one thing that you can do, and you can do it really well. And so if you just dominate with that thing, you can always add more as you get older, but make sure you don't let go of that whatever that is. And for you, you obviously broke a bunch of records while you were at UFB. One of them, the free throw, your ability to get to the line. I still remember in high school, I think when we played you one time, you had 30 free throws in the game. It's a very uncanny ability to do, and you're very good at it. What kind of, where was the mentality to lock in and get to the line and be so effective at it for you?
I think that's where other sports came into play too. Water polo is definitely the most aggressive physical sport I've ever played, and so I kind of took that into how I played basketball. And also just being undersized, I was always the 5'9", 5'10" post going up against girls that are 6'3", and you can't really play the fancy pretty game against those types of players. You got to want to go and beat them up because they have the size on me. So I kind of played the more physical aggressive game, and I had to against the players I was playing against. I never had a mentality to start when I started playing I want to go and shoot a bunch of free throws, but it just it ended up happening. I think that was just a byproduct of how aggressive I played, and then it just kept working, and so I just went with it. I just kept attacking the hoop hard, and yeah.
Absolutely. And so as you continue to keep playing, you have to start taking on a little bit of a leadership role because obviously you were one of the impact players. Starting all your games as a freshman is a big deal. So when did you kind of kick in that, okay, wait a second, I got to start leading around here and I got to start doing a little more vocally. Obviously you lead off the court as well, but when did you kind of realize leadership was a big deal and how did you do so?
I'd say, well, my first and second year, Kaylee Sartori was on the team, so she was like our main leader. And then my third year, like I had Shayna Littman and Sarah Simovich, so they were both veteran fifth-year players. I think my third year, I took on more of a leadership role, but then once I got into my fourth year and I was like the only fourth year on the team, Al like had a bunch of talks with me, and I'm like more of a quiet person to begin with, so he sat down with me a bunch of times and he just said like, you got to find your voice, like you lead when you're playing and off the court, but like I need you to start kind of bossing people around and tell people what to do. And so my fourth year I started realizing that that's what I needed to do. I stepped it up a bit there, and then it wasn't really until this year I'd say that like I really like found my voice more and really like took that leadership role almost like personally. Like that was a goal for me at the beginning of the year, was to just be a great leader. And I think every day just like there was different books that Al had us read and different videos and things to watch, and that was just something that I spent a lot of time on like wanting to get better at. So this year definitely that was a big thing with so many rookies on the team too.
Yeah, I mean, you had quite a few rookies. They obviously had a huge impact on your season this year. Talk a little bit about the rookies and what your thoughts were on having such quality come in your last year.
Yeah. Well, like I knew all four of them coming in, like how talented they were, and that like I've seen them grow up. Like I've watched Nikki play for years, and like Deanna obviously is always around because of Al. So I knew how talented they were. Like honestly, as a fifth year, like going into your last year, knowing that you're going to be playing with like four rookies for so many minutes, that's not like super ideal.
Yeah.
So I was pretty skeptical like at the beginning, because it is so different. Like you can be so talented in high school and it might not always translate to the next level. But they definitely like surpassed my expectations of what they were going to bring to the table, and they came every day ready to compete. And they like I sat down with them a couple of times and I just said to them like, look, you're not playing like regular rookie minutes, so I'm not going to treat you like a regular rookie, and don't take offense to it if I'm like really hard on you, but like you should almost take it as a compliment, because I'm going to treat you like a veteran player if you're going to play veteran minutes. And yeah, they definitely stepped up. We needed them. They came in clutch like a lot of games for us. They were reasons why we ended up winning a ton of games. And yeah, without them, like they brought a scoring threat that we didn't really have before. We didn't have a ton of people that wanted to score, and all four of them any given night could have gone out there and gotten 15, 20 points. So
yeah, for sure. And it's always nice to have a little youth energize you in your last year and kind of,
definitely.
kick you up a little bit.
Yeah.
So you graduate, you're finished now. What are your thoughts on what you're going to do post-secondary? Obviously, you mentioned that you're going to go into your PDP in a few years. What are we doing in the meantime?
Well, recently I signed with an agency in Spain a couple months ago once I was done our season. So I'm hoping to go and play overseas this coming year. I've got some interest from a couple of different places right now. I'm just waiting on like final word with like COVID and stuff too. I don't really know exactly how things are going to go, but yeah, that's the plan hopefully for this year. We'll see. I don't really like being away from home, but I just want to do it for the experience. If I hate it, I can come back at the end of the season. If I like it, maybe I'll play another season. But yeah, most I'd probably do is 2 years and then come back and get my teaching career going. But in the meantime, like right now, I'm just coaching and stuff too with BC Bounce, and yeah.
Sweet. What's that been like? Talk a little. Obviously, BC Bounce has got some fantastic coaches to learn from over there. Talk a little bit about getting back involved in coaching and what that's been like.
Yeah, I think like Pat Lee is the main guy at Bounce, and he helped out at UFV this year too, and I think he really helped bring another like intensity factor to our UFV team this year. He just loves basketball like more than anybody I know, so it's cool being around him. And yeah, he's taught me a lot. He also helped, I think coaching helped me in the leadership aspect as well, like having to have a voice when I'm coaching, and that kind of translates over back to my team. Yeah, I've been able to learn a lot from Pat, and through coaching, able to figure out like that I want to teach. I think this year too, like when you get to the end of your career playing, kind of gets tiring, and sometimes some days you just don't love it, and it's like work having to go to the gym every day. So seeing like those girls, how much they love it when I go to coach, they're also excited to be at practice. That kind of helped me remember like why I'm playing and why I love it, because you see how much joy it brings them, and it kind of reminds you like when you were younger how much you loved it and how lucky you are to keep playing. So yeah, coaching has definitely helped in a lot of different areas for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think being under the tutelage of somebody like Pat, who does such a good job, is always important. But also, kind of getting his fierceness in your system, and kind of understanding that how serious it needs to be, but also how to make it fun, because he does a little bit of that as well. So you have this group, you're coaching, your season finishes, you end up being named an all-star in several different places. What was that like to kind of see your work rewarded with some nominations and stuff?
Yeah. It was pretty cool at the beginning of the year. Like we always do goal setting as a team, and I've never really done like individual goal setting until this year. I sat down, and at the beginning of the season, I wrote down, it was like 5 or 6 things. And at the end of the season, I looked back at it and I like achieved every single one of those things I wrote down. So that was pretty cool to just look back and know that like all the hours I put in really paid off. And it wasn't until that All-Canadian, I got the text from Al that I got the All-Canadian award. And I've never been like proud of myself for any of those other things that I did, but like that one I could like genuinely say like I was like really proud of that one. Like that was pretty cool to receive that at the end and have that be like the very last thing that I'm going out with. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, Canada West is a big deal. Getting on the first team there was huge, but obviously, getting acknowledged on the national level is an even bigger deal. And it seemed, just in general, it doesn't seem like, oh, it's a thing. But if you do the math, it's like there's a lot of people playing, man. And so, to get that level of appreciation is kind of cool. But it also, like you said, it kind of firms up that all the work that you put in was rewarded, and it's cool. It may not be the real intention, but it kind of works out. So you really mentioned about goal setting. How has goal setting played an impact on your life, and how seriously have you taken it? Obviously, certain times certain people take it a little more seriously than others, and at different times in their career. How's it kind of had an impact for you?
I didn't really do it like in high school. I never did it. It wasn't until we got to UFV every year. We'd sit down before the season, and as a team, we'd write out like our goals for community goals, classroom goals, and then like on the court goals. And I just found it was a way to like know. I remember in my rookie year, it was big because the goals was mostly the veterans setting it, and it gave you an idea of like what everyone expected of you. It's like, you're making 500 shots or 1,000 shots a week. That's a goal that everyone's holding each other accountable to. So just things like that. And like weightlifting, you're going to get in the weight room, and that's a goal for everyone, is to get 3 times a week in the weight room. And I found it was a good way to hold yourself accountable and then have other people hold you accountable too, because you all have the same goals in mind and you have the same final goal, which is like getting to nationals. And yeah, I found that it was just a way to hold each other accountable, get in the gym. And then individual goal setting, I never thought about it like throughout the year. It was just kind of something at the beginning of the year, like all these things would be cool to do. And then I don't know, like in my last year especially, like time's coming to an end, so you want to get in the gym and like be in there as much as you can, because it's your last time to do it. So I never had to look at those goals and be like, okay, that's why I need to get in the gym. It was like I just genuinely wanted to, but it was cool at the end to look back and then see everything pay off.
Yeah, for sure. Throughout your career, you've obviously been surrounded by some very good players, both on UFB and then outside of UFB. Who were kind of people you looked up to when you were growing up?
Like basketball players or?
Whatever. I mean, honestly, as long as somebody kind of inspired you, that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Well, throughout high school, like my parents, obviously, like with sports and stuff, they're always driving me around, and they were the ones that always got me into sports and playing whatever I could play. My dad would always come in the mornings, and I'd be shooting every day before school for an hour. He's always there rebounding for me. When I got to UFV, I would say that Kaylee definitely like beat me up every single practice, and I hated it. But at the end of the day, it was like you look back and she did it because she needed me to be better for her in my rookie year. Like she knew I'd be playing with her. She wanted me to be better. And then like that made me a better player. It made me tougher too. And then somebody else that I look up to definitely has been like a mentor to me is Pat Lee. He is someone that I could just talk to about anything, and he held me accountable for a lot of things this year, like just always pushing me to be better. You think that in your fifth year, like maybe coaches are going to take it a little bit easier on you, like you've been around the block a few times. He found a way to get on me like every single practice. He never let anything slide. And so, yeah, that was nice to know that even in my fifth year, he's finding things that I can always get better at.
You know, it's funny because I watch a lot of coaching stuff and I see a lot of the top players talking. And one of the things a lot of the top people say is the best players want to be coached and they want to be challenged and they want to get better. And so I think for Pat, probably, I'm going to speak on behalf of Pat, but as a coach, he probably was excited that, you know, the best player on the team was actually very receptive to his, you know, opinion and advice. As assistant coach, you know, that's probably what you're looking for the most, is being able to help out and contribute to somebody like yourself. So, I mean, I think that's a both give and take situation. I think he probably appreciated you accepting the feedback, and I think you're appreciating him giving the feedback. So that's always good. Now, let me ask you this question. If you go back in time to younger Taylor, you're obviously young, so we're going to go younger Taylor Claggett, give her a little bit of advice. What would you tell her to kind of give her a heads up on some things that were coming up in the future?
That's a tough one. There's a lot of things. I would have said probably from an even younger age, I would have said like get in the gym even more. Didn't like start really getting in the gym. Lifting and shooting, but I guess just because I played so many sports, it wasn't like super realistic. I didn't have like 30 hours in a day, but I would have just started lifting earlier because I didn't start lifting probably till university. We didn't do any of that before. So I would have said to lift earlier, would have said to find your voice earlier and not be so shy, come out of your shell. There's no reason to be so quiet all the time. Yeah, maybe in my first years of university, take the books more seriously.
First year, man. I mean, like, let's talk about first year for a second. One of the things I tell kids the hardest semester in school is the first year, the first half of the first year. Do you think that could be accurate, or what are your thoughts on
that? Yeah, no, definitely accurate. Like, you don't expect everything that's about to be thrown at you. Like, it's a completely different world. Like, it's not even close. And
I've seen many a straight-A student go down in that first semester. I mean, you know, you gotta line yourself up. You gotta focus. You have to execute. You have to plan for the first time in your life. Your parents aren't kind of dominating your life for the first time. I mean, you're gonna kind of have to figure it out. And I think, you know, that's a huge thing for kids coming up for sure.
Yeah, and you don't have the time that you used to have. Like and after practices, after you've been playing for 4 or 5 hours a day, like you don't have the energy to sit down and want to open your book. So you got to really like find it, and you have to have that like final goal set in mind. Like you're there to get a degree. Like you're not just there to play basketball and have fun. Like as much as that is another reason why you're there, there is like way more to that, and it's to get a degree. But yeah.
Did you take 5 courses the whole time you were there?
Most semesters was 4 classes a semester.
And then did you do summer? You did summer courses as well?
I did one this past summer. I did a course just so that I'd graduate on time, but I didn't have to do any other summers before that.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of, you know, plan it out and kind of see what you're going to do. Well, listen, it's been spectacular watching you play for the last, you know, I think I've been watching you play for probably about 8 years now. So I mean, I think I've been there most of the time. The seeing you compete level has been inspiring for other kids, I think, to see. I always, whenever my team saw you play, I always brought it up. So it was always something to look forward to. But more importantly, I think it's exciting to see the great things you got going forward in the future. And I'm excited. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Okay, thanks.